Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Jocks of All Trades podcast. I'm Kyle. This is Brad. And on this episode, we're going to talk about a live mock draft. Me and Brad are the GMs, and we're going to decide for each team whether to trade, whether to pick, and who to pick. So this is going to be a fun one. Before we get started, let's go with our sponsors.
Fresh Cuts is our amazing sponsor who has been with us since 2020. Fresh Cuts is the local barbershop hangout in Marion, Indiana. If you're looking for a full-service barber with excellent cuts and a welcoming atmosphere, contact Caleb Kemper for an appointment time through www.freshcutsbarbershop.com. Mondays are the best days to get in, although he has plenty of time slots available. And if you happen to miss us live, you'll be hearing us in the shop while you enjoy your fresh cut. Slide on by to Fresh Cuts to pick up some stylish footwear with Caleb's Fresh Kicks collection. From Nike to Jordans, he offers the best price for quality kicks. And if you don't find what you like, Caleb offers custom work for $250. Stop over to 1224 North Baldwin Ave in Marion to pick up yours today, or Caleb also ships all over the U.S. Message him for prices and sizes. Our other people we sponsor, Steve Wood Illustrations and Ronald Morell for Mayor. Check out their respective pages on Facebook. And our other friends at other podcasts, the Culture Corner podcast, 1,000 Wives of Weird, and Rules of the Frame. Check them out on their respective platforms listed below.
All right, so pick number one. That's the Chicago Bears. I think we both are in agreement that they're probably not going to stay with that one. Do you think they'll go down to 2, or do you think they'll just say screw it and take the best offer to like number 4 or number 9?
Worse, I think it'll go to number 7. The Raiders were on the phone with us earlier. They found their guy, and I'm going to be a little insane, and I think people are going to go that crazy for Anthony Richardson.
Yep, about to say
so let's go ahead, and we are going to trade with the Raiders. So now the Raiders will be up here. And if you're the Raiders, what are you looking for here, Kyle?
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement that it'll probably be Anthony Richardson here. I'm the Raiders right now, so we're going to go goo and gaga over this guy that maybe can't pass the ball very well, but is insane.
So is the pick in?
Yes, I think the pick is in. Gotcha. So, yeah, AR-15, as they call them. We're going to go with Anthony Richardson here, and I mean, the total package physically, 6'4", 230. We know how he runs. We know how he can jump and bruise over people, run by people. The arm is there. He has elite arm talent, but, the question is, can he rise up? Can he get better? Can he get more accurate? Is he in a good enough system? That'll be a big question. So we have the Raiders taking Anthony Richardson, and that means Houston is on the clock.
I think this is a no-brainer at this point. It is a toss-up between, I think, Stroud and Bryce, but I think you just have to take intangibles off the field here, or on the field here, and I think I have a feeling they know what their pick is, so I'm going to go ahead and say the pick is in. And who would that be, Kyle? I'm sure you can read my mind here.
Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. We know about Bryce Young's intangibles. We know that he's probably the most pure quarterback in this draft in terms of doing everything for your team. The question is his size. He's not 6 foot. He's actually 5'10", maybe 5'11", 200. But beyond just the physicals there, he's accurate. He's mobile. He can lead a team. He makes some dynamic plays in the open field with his legs and his arm. Texans definitely have a good one, a guy that can lead their team, hopefully, and get them back to relevancy sooner rather than later. So, very good pick by the Texans. Can't go wrong with Bryce Young. Probably the best quarterback in the draft, in my opinion, but they get him at 2 instead of 1.
I like it.
At number 3, we
So-
have the Cardinals.
Yeah, I feel like this one's pretty easy as well. But I'm going to take the different approach here. And, there's a lot of good defensive talent that you can take. But I think that this guy would be a really good fit for them. So I'm going to go ahead and say the pick is in.
Who are you
Would
going
that
with?
happen to be, Kyle?
Who is it? I don't know. Who do you want?
Jalen Carter would be my first take here.
Good. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with his warrants out for his arrest and all that stuff. Obviously, he's pretty certain he's going to clear his name, and we'll see what kind of teams take him off their board. But in terms of pure talent, he's probably the best player in this draft, best non-quarterback player in this draft. Insane amount of pressures, can get in the backfield at all times, has to be double teamed. If you're looking for a pass rusher at D tackle, it's this guy. There's not many of them in the NFL, and there's not many good ones. So if you can get a guy like Jalen Carter, that's a slam dunk. And for the Cardinals, they need an identity. They need some better players on defense, all along that O line and D line for sure. So Jalen Carter's a slam dunk of a pick. Can't go wrong.
I like it. So after the Cardinals would be.
We have the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock.
That's correct.
And
this also feels like a pretty easy one. So let's go ahead and say the pick is in.
And it's DJ Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State. Obvious pick for them. I think he can do a lot with the Colts. Their offensive line is better than most. The running game with Jonathan Taylor is better than most. Receivers are still a little bit of a problem. But a young OC named Shane Steichen is now their young head coach, and he did some wonders with Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. I think he can do some pretty good things with CJ as well. They're very different quarterbacks, but he's still an athletic quarterback, very accurate quarterback, and it could be a leader of their franchise. And they finally get a quarterback that is not 40 years old and a has-been. They finally get a young guy that they can develop. So I think CJ's a great pick right here, and that means Seattle is now on the clock.
They are. I think you're going to absolutely have to look at defense here for the Seahawks because they signed Geno to a 3-year deal. So quarterback is kind of off the question here this early. Maybe they address it later as a backup position, but the pick is absolutely in here.
And it is Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. I think a lot of people have him going over Jalen Carter in some mock drafts, but Seattle is super happy to have him. Listen, they've needed pass rush since the days of Michael Bennett and, the Legion of Boom back there. Like they've sorely been missing just stud defensive guys. And Tyree Wilson can definitely do that up front. He's physically imposing. He's a freak. He's athletic. Gets in the backfield regularly. He doesn't always finish the greatest. Like his stats probably could be better. However, I think all the traits are there for him to be successful in the NFL and can be just a stout 3-down type of defensive end and, contribute to that Seattle defense that has some really good secondary pieces. And listen, man, it's all won along the line of scrimmage. And we've seen Jalen Carter and Tyree Wilson go, and then quarterbacks go. So, some of the most important positions in football are going right now, top 5, top 6. That's kind of where you want to be.
And it's kind of a good spot for the Lions. I don't think the Lions want to trade here because you have 2 good options. You take a really good edge in Will Anderson, or you take a corner. Where would you kind of lean, Kyle?
I would lean best player available. I would. I think Aiden Hutchinson is a great player. I think he's going to be a very good one, but you can never go wrong with pass rush. Never, ever, ever. Well, Anderson, it's definitely amazing that he's still on the board at number 6. I think Lions fans would absolutely, no doubt, be happy if they selected him. So I think the pick is in. So Will Anderson at pick number 6 here. This was the pick from the Rams, so very good job, Lions, executing on that one. But 6'3", 240, can get in the backfield a lot. Very good in stunts, very good at moving around. You can quickly get in the backfield. You can win with speed and power. Production is there. I know there was a little bit of a dip in production this last year, but I mean, when you're getting double teamed, triple teamed, like when offenses are making it priority to stop you from doing anything, like production's going to go down. So if you can get him along the Lions defense with Aiden Hutchinson, with some of their young defensive tackles that they have, and really move them around, like Lions like to blitz a little bit, and they can even be more of a blitzing team. But also, if you have him on one side and Aiden on the other side, you could probably get away with rushing 4 and doing some really unique things with Will Anderson there. So I think that's a great pick, home run pick. I think he's going to be very productive at the next level.
I like it. The Bears are now on the clock. I'll be honest, when you could literally give anything to your offense, I think the ravenous NFL fan base has been high on protecting Justin Fields. I think this is kind of a slam dunk for them to trade back and get this guy, so I'm going to say the pick is in.
Peter Skoronski, I love it. Tackle, maybe even guard at the next level from Northwestern, 6'4", about 300 pounds. Shorter arms is what you always hear, but I don't think that matters whatsoever. I think he has the skills, the athleticism, the technique to play tackle and guard at the next level. I know Bears fans liked what they saw out of Tevin Jenkins at guard this last year, and that's good, but that's like one piece out of 5 pieces that you need along the offensive line. And imagine if you can get more athletic pieces, what you can do with Justin Fields, what you can do with the running game, what you can do with the rollout game, and having a stud at right tackle or left tackle, like, because I think he can potentially do that. I mean, it makes everything better. You can work your offense better, not as many negative plays. He can produce. He's good in the run game, good in the pass game. And it's not a reach at all. It's not. I think Skoronski is definitely worthy of being this pick. It's not sexy. Maybe more of a sexy pick would be a corner or a receiver, but like I think line of scrimmage, again, is where he should go. It's not where everyone will go, but Bears getting Skoronski here, I like it.
Nice. So the Falcons are on the board, and I already know exactly who they need to take here, so I'm just going to go ahead and slide over. They need to be explosive, and they're just not, Kyle. And I have to admit, there is one guy that absolutely flew up draft boards. So the pick is in.
Nolan Smith, defensive end, pass rusher, linebacker, whatever you need him to be, if he can run that fast of a 40. Out of Georgia, production not there this year, but that's mostly due to injuries. But if he didn't get hurt, people are saying he would have put up a heck of a stat line. He's best at stopping the run, but he's a little bit undersized, which is kind of crazy. So if you can put on a little bit more bulk, a little bit more power, like you could be an every down defensive end. And with those traits, with that athleticism that he has, my gosh, the ceiling is forever high. And he doesn't have to go much farther if you're a Georgia guy and going to the Atlanta Falcons. You don't have to go very far. But just bringing more juice to that defense. You talk about getting Epikady last year from Penn State. That's an okay addition so far. I think it could be good. But Grady Jarrett has forever been missing just like a running partner, a guy that can also get in the backfield. So having to defend two really nasty guys at their own respective positions, yeah, you can't go wrong there. I think their offensive line is good. I think their receivers could be better. I think their corners are a need for sure, and there are corners in this draft, but um, yeah, I think anyone's going to be mad about this pick, especially with his potential.
For sure. Panthers are on the clock. Kyle, I have a feeling you know where they're going to go, so I'm going to let you go ahead and do it.
Yes.
But is it safe to say that the pick is in on this one?
Yeah, if I can find.
He's the other way.
Okay. Yeah, definitely the pick is in, no doubt.
Let me go ahead and slide that in there then.
Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky, former Penn State guy. Obviously, I have no idea why he didn't win the starting job and Sean Clifford did. Still a mystery to me, but goes to Kentucky, shows off his stuff, shows off his arm, his athleticism. Very big kid, can really move the ball downfield, really great zip on the ball. However, there are issues with him. This is why he's slotted at number 9 and not number 1, 2, or 3. In my opinion, I don't think he's as good as Bryce Young or CJ. I think him and Anthony are probably on the same playing field in terms of athleticism, in terms of what they need to work on. But like he has some good qualities about him. I think he's tough. I think he's a leader. He's physical. But then there's just some things that you kind of question, like why does he stand in there and like a 7-man blitz? He knows a free rusher is coming. Instead of getting rid of the ball, he just takes it right in the back and he gets back up. Like there are things that like you could say, oh, that's tough. That's physical. Way to go. But ultimately, that's going to get you killed. It's going to get you hurt. It's going to get you in the dirt. It's not going to move your team forward. So there's a lot of quarterback-y kind of things that he really should do and he doesn't do. So hopefully this is actually a good position. He's with Frank Reich, who some have called the quarterback whisperer, an actual quarterback that Frank can develop. I think that's a very good match. I think this is the type of quarterback that Frank wants. He just needs to hone in on his pocket presence. He needs to hone in on his accuracy, his decision making a little bit. But physical tools are there. We'll just see if those pan out or not.
Nice. Eagles are up here. I don't know if you mind if I steal this one, but I think you can afford the luxury pick, and I'm going to toss the guy that I think you should be taking at 10.
All right.
So we're GMs. We're talking about this. So
Yeah.
either I think you should take one of the most athletic guys in the draft that could boost your offense. I'm assuming you're going to go defense.
Offense. Yeah, I was probably going to either trade back here or go defense. I think.
Let's trade back. I'm cool with that.
All right. So I think. Awesome. So the Eagles are going to trade back here. They've made a trade, and it has gone through. The Eagles are going to trade number 10 to the New England Patriots here. So the Patriots are on the clock at number 10. And I think the Patriots have their guy here. If I can find them quickly. Yes, the pick is. The Patriots have selected Devin Witherspoon. Some have called him the best corner in this draft. I think it's kind of like a pick your favorite fruit or your favorite food, whatever. Like you like a bunch of things, but which one's your favorite? Which one stands out the most to you? There's a bunch of different flavors in here. You have Joey Porter, you have Christian Gonzalez, a lot of different kinds of corners. But I think this guy fits what the Patriots want. He's physical, he's tough, he's good on the ball, a good tackler, a little newish to football, and I think Bill Belichick loves that. I think Bill Belichick can just give all of his knowledge over to Devin Witherspoon and make him like a supremely successful and lockdown corner in the NFL. So yeah, Patriots at number 10 here. Going to go with Devin Witherspoon.
I like it. Let's go ahead on to the next team, which would be the Titans. There's a lot of things they could do here, Kyle. If I can find the feller I'm looking for, I think that would be a perfect fit for them. Let's go ahead and say the pick is in on this one.
Paris Johnson Jr. I love it. Tackle, guard out of Ohio State. This is a kid that can probably do both at the next level. I think some teams will view him as a tackle long term, but there's still a lot of things he'll need to clean up at tackle. But guard, he was very dominant. I think in the run game and in the pass game, he's big, he's mobile, he can move. Needs more consistency at the next level, but I mean, Titans, right? Titans just got rid of Taylor Lewan. Probably going to lose Nate Davis. Heck, they might trade away Derrick Henry. So they have a lot of things that they need to work out for sure. But getting a stud, maybe left tackle of the future, that's what they're hoping here. No doubt in my mind that they'd be very, very happy with this pick.
For sure. That puts the Texans up. Kyle, I'm going to leave this one to you. You know how I feel about any team that's in the bottom rung. They could literally do anything. They'd be happy with it. Although, where are you leaning here? Are you leaning offense? Are you leaning defense? What do you think should be their go-to thing?
I mean, I think they would love to. They'd love to give Bryce Young a weapon here. So I think that's where they're going to go. I think there's a lot of weapons on the board, possibly. You could go receiver. You could go tight end. So I think I know where they're going to go.
All right. Well, let's say the pick is in then.
Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah. I think the best tight end in this draft, just what he can do from a receiving threat. Outstanding body control, outstanding production, very good hands, very clean hands. He's tough, he's physical, he can do a lot of things with the ball after he catches it. He is new to football, but that kind of means he has a high ceiling with what he's done in a very short amount of time at his first school and then transferring to Utah. Just all around, I think a really good tight end. I think he can get better in the run game, but the potential is there for him to do that. But, I mean, from day one, if you can contribute as a flex guy, as a tight end, playing receiver, I mean, a tight end is a quarterback's best weapon at times. So getting Bryce Young, a tight end, right over the middle of the field, I mean, that's something that they did with Kyler Murray. Like, if you're comparing, like, oh, Kyler Murray's short, Bryce Young is short, they went out and got Kyler Murray, Zach Ertz, who has some of the best hands as a tight end in the NFL. Like, sure. So you want someone who you can rely on, who you can trust. Texans receivers are kind of mid, I would say, as of right now. And I don't know if any receiver here would just like elevate that ceiling, but I think Kincaid can. So Kincaid here to the Texans at 12. I think that's a solid pick.
I like it. That would then put the Jets on the board. The Jets need a whole lot of things. But I'm going to go ahead and make this one pretty simple for everybody and say that the pick is in because this would kind of be their best fit that they need.
Broderick Jones, I love it. Tackle, guard out of Georgia. There are a lot of rumors right now swirling about Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, and I think that if they are able to keep this pick, which I think they can, I don't think Rodgers' compensation will be that high, but if they can pick someone here and get Broderick Jones here at pick number 13, we've talked about before on this podcast that Mekhi Becton's not living up to his hype. Last year they got Vera Tucker who got hurt. They got Max Mitchell who got hurt. If they can get healthy, adding in just another lineman who can do so much for you when he's pulling out in the run game, whether it's pass protecting for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, just getting some guys in front of them to make a cohesive unit because I don't think they need that much on offense besides offensive line. They got Breece Hall, right? They got Michael Carter. They got Garrett Wilson. They got Corey Davis, Elijah Moore. Tight end might be something there, but apparently they like Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State last year. So their biggest need right now, assuming they get Aaron Rodgers, is definitely athleticism on the offensive line, and he's perfect for that. So.
Yeah. That then would put the Eagles on the board with that trade from the Patriots. I'm curious to know if you're thinking what I was thinking earlier.
Yeah, I think honestly I need to get better at where these guys are at. But once I figure that out, yeah, I have something in mind here. The Eagles love going O line, D line. I think that's their MO. That's what they do.
Ooh.
So the pick is in for the Eagles here at number 14. I had them selecting Kalijah Cansey, D tackle out of Pitt. What he was able to do in his year, but also at the combine, putting on that kind of show, putting on that kind of athleticism. Again, when I talked about Jalen Carter being a pass rusher, there aren't many guys who can do that at the D tackle level. This is the second guy in this draft, maybe the last guy left in this draft who can do that at the D tackle position. He is a little undersized, but he is 6'6.5", 280, and he can penetrate. Like run stuffing is something he'll need to get accustomed to doing and getting better at. But the pass rush ability, I think, is already there. He can slash in the backfield, and for a team like the Eagles, who value defensive line, who probably will lose Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Like there's a lot of D tackles that they're missing out. So they need to replenish that, and I think Kalijah Cansey, I think it's a solid pick here. I think most Eagles fans would be happy with it. So.
Yep. I'm having some technical difficulties, so this probably will be a little difficult to read. Eventually we'll get this figured out, guys. Sorry. But that would put the Packers up on the board, would it not?
Yes, sir. Packers. Yep.
Okay. Well, they could do any number of things here. Although I feel like offense would be a really big need for them, but I don't know.
Are you assuming that Rodgers is gone? Is that how you're making your pick?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rodgers should be gone. The Packers don't want him. They're in talk with the Jets. It's bound to happen at some point here that they're going to pick something to replace him. It won't be a quarterback in the first round because all the quality quarterbacks are gone. But I think our pick is in.
Brian Branch here at safety, also nickel. I think the Packers will definitely have a need at safety. Darnell Savage, I'm sorry, is not Savage. He's probably turning into somewhat of a bust for the Packers. Adrian Amos is in free agency. I think he'll leave. So getting a guy that can do a multitude of things at safety and at corner. We know that last year they went after Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker, both from Georgia. It seems like they're pretty comfortable with selecting SEC guys. So Brian Branch here is the pick. 6', 190, can do a bunch of stuff. Really great tackler, also a really violent tackler from what I've seen, but also able just to make plays on the ball. He really impresses me. I think it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the real NFL draft. Kind of, is he a mid first? Is he a late first? I think ultimately he might go a little bit later, but I think the Packers need a guy like this, and assuming they get rid of Aaron Rodgers, they still don't go after receivers. They don't. Like, that's not who they are. So I think they're going to go Brian Branch here.
I like it. Up next is the Commanders.
Oof. And they need a lot, don't they? Oh, boy.
Yes, they do, unfortunately. Oh, good. We had the same idea. That's good. Then the pick is in.
Yeah, Commanders are going to select Christian Gonzalez, corner out of Oregon, 6'2", 200. Very good at playing the ball, very athletic, ran, like a 4.4 or sub 4.4 at the combine. Played at Colorado and then transferred to Oregon, where he just balled out. He's long, he's lean, he is physical, but I guess the one knock is down the field he can get out muscled. He has a potential to be a lockdown corner, something the Commanders desperately need. listen, we know the Commanders have a great front seven. That's been their MO, but secondary is something they need to improve on. Also, offensive line is, but I don't know if there's any guys left on the board that they can go out and get one. Braddock Jones was taken. Skoronski was taken. Paris Johnson Jr. was taken. So I think ultimately they would have liked to have one of those guys, but how the board fell, I think corner is the best player on the board here with a Gonzalez or Joey Porter. So I think they're very happy to be going Christian Gonzalez here.
I think so too. That would put the Steelers on the board, which I think they're just going to go ahead and have a reunion pick here. So the pick is in.
Yeah, Steelers are going to select Joey Porter Jr., obviously son of the legendary Steelers player Joey Porter. Different position though, corner, but he's still, he's freakishly long. I've never seen a guy like this. His wingspan is incredible. 6'2", 192, longest corner in the class. Definitely the longest corner. I guess you could be a little nervous that he hasn't really had many interceptions. However, his MO isn't trying to pick the ball off. It's just like pressing your guy at the line, batting the ball down, just making your opponent kind of one-dimensional. Teams didn't throw at him this last year. They went to the other side. And then we'll see next year Kalen King probably being a top prospect as well. So, it's kind of pick your poison there. So, but also a very good tackler, very sticky. He can get a little handsy at times down the field, but especially in the combine, he showed that he is fast enough to, I think, stick with fast receivers, especially with that length. Even if he's a little bit behind, we've seen time and time again just trailing the guy by a couple feet and just sticking his long arms out and batting it down. Steelers have had a need at corner forever, and they haven't really addressed it with a top pick. But I think most Steelers fans would be happy and excited to get another Joey Porter here.
Yeah. That would then put us with the Lions. I have a thought here, and I have a very scary thought here if I can make this pan out the way that I want it to. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the pick is in.
Brian Brisset. I love it. He's a massive dude, a guy that was a top prospect coming out of high school, has all the physical tools that you want. He ran really well at the combine as well. He's had a lot of nagging injuries and illnesses in his career, and that's kind of attributed to his non-production. But like when he is on the field, he makes a big difference. And they selected Will Anderson, right, with their first pick?
Yep.
Will Anderson, Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Brisset, man. And next year to a couple of years, if this goes right for them, if they get these guys, that is a dominant defensive line. I think he is definitely a type of guy that Dan Campbell would love for sure. D-tackle is something they've wanted to improve. They've gotten a few guys in the last couple of drafts, but I don't think any of them are like Brian Brisset. So, that's a great pick and definitely a sexy pick, getting all those defensive linemen. I love it.
Mm-hmm. That then would put the Buccaneers on the board for us. They lost Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Your next best option is Kyle Trask. What do you do with the Buccaneers?
Yeah, they could go pretty much anywhere. And based on their free agency moves that's going to happen here, they could trade a lot of guys away. They could cut a lot of guys, restructure guys. They already got rid of Donovan Smith at tackle. They might get rid of Devin White or Levante David. They're probably going to lose some corners here. But if Kyle Trask is their next step here, I think they have something in mind to get him some help.
In that case, it sounds like the pick is in.
Yeah, I'm taking Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. He can do it all at the tight end position. For Kyle Trask to succeed, I think he'll need as much help as he can get, in all honesty. I like the receivers they have. Running back is still a need, so maybe they could have gone Bijan here, but I think it would have been a little bit of a waste. But getting Michael Mayer here at their pick, they could have gone corner as well, but those top guys were picked already. So I think Michael Mayer is definitely Mayer. I keep mispronouncing that. Is definitely the best player on the board here. And again, he can do it all. He's pro ready. He can step in right away. He can run block for you. He can catch. He can't separate like probably Dalton Kincaid can. However, he can run routes. He can catch the ball. He can provide a lot for your offense. And again, getting a quarterback, his best friend, that's what you need. That's what you want. Do I think Kyle Trask is going to ultimately succeed? I'm not sure, but I think if you put the right things around him, and I think Michael Mayer is the right step.
I like it. That would put us with the Seahawks here at pick 20. This is tricky. This is really tricky. So
remind me, who did they get with their last pick?
That's a great question.
Was it Jalen Carter? No. Was it? No. It was. Who was it?
Tyree Wilson?
It was. Yes. So they got a defensive end. That's a really good start. Yeah, this will be interesting to see what Seattle does here. And I think I have an idea.
Okay. So the pick is in.
I have them taking Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State. Listen, Tyler Lockett, good player, but I think he's on the downside of his career. I still think they have a need at wide receiver number 3. And getting a receiver like Jackson Smith and Jigba for Geno, having a down play threat like DK, that's great. That's what you want. You want a deep guy, but also you want something that can work in the slot. And since I don't think they have a great tight end, getting someone who can win over the middle of the field is something that, I mean, just imagine Geno with how accurate he is throwing over the middle of the field to someone who's just probably wide open, because I think eventually that's where JSN will go. He did so much in the combine in terms of his elusiveness, his cutting ability, his quickness. Like, he has those tools to be a very good slot receiver. I guess injury concerns are a concern, and he didn't really play this last year, but I think teams, again, will probably just put that by the wayside and look at what he did last year and look at his physical tools, how great he can run routes, and how good his hands are. So I think this is definitely a sexy pick for Seattle. Might not be the biggest need here, but I think he might be the best receiver in this draft.
Agreed. Not sure I would have said that before the combine, but
yeah.
Chargers are on the board at 21. What are you feeling here, Kyle?
Oh man, they could go a lot of different routes as well. I think if Keenan's gone, even if he's old. He's not the same player that he was. Offensive line has gotten hurt a lot, but when they get all their guys back, I think it can be a decent group. Defense is definitely an issue, but are they going to reach on a quarter? I think I have the pick for them though.
Okay.
Yeah, I have them taking Jordan Addison, receiver out of USC. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba better, but Jordan Addison, what he can do in terms of route running is something akin to a Keenan Allen. That's Keenan's best trait, is getting open. And I think they're going to miss that. So if you want a guy that can get open, it's Jordan Addison. He's crafty. He can have a great release. He has good speed. I think he can track the ball well. I guess the concern is, yes, he didn't produce as high of a level at USC than he did at Pitt, but I think the tools are there for him to be a very good slot receiver at the next level. I think he could play outside too, but getting someone besides your Mike Williams on the outside, even though Herbert's an amazing quarterback, you still want to continue to surround him with pieces. I think Jordan Addison's a great piece to add.
I agree. We are up with the Ravens. Kyle, a lot of the guys that I think they would have taken are off the board.
Yeah.
But I have a suggestion on what they should do.
Okay.
He had a really good combine. I could see him shoot to the back half of this round. I'm going to go ahead and say the pick is in.
Oh my
Let
gosh!
you pronounce his name.
Adetomiwa Adebare, defensive end / D tackle from Northwestern. I'm sure they're probably going to slide him in if they get him. Wow, I mean, what a combine he had! Supremely athletic. I've never seen someone at 280 run a 4.5. Insanity. And I think on one of the podcasts, if it hasn't been released already, you and I talked about Jordan Davis at like 330 or 320 last year running a 4.7. And I said that's kind of something similar to what he did. And honestly, I think if the Eagles did not trade up above the Ravens last year, the Ravens easily would have selected Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis.
They like these freakishly athletic defensive linemen.
Thanks for that, Kyle.
Yeah. They definitely, they're attracted to these guys. Like they want them on their team, and they definitely are a team that likes solidifying pass rushers and D tackles. That's their MO. They love doing that. Versatility for this guy, fast, he's quick, he's high motor. Like I'm sorry, if you're from Northwestern, you probably had to work quite a bit to become because they don't get the best recruits. They don't. Like I don't know his recruiting profile, but I'd be pretty sure that it's probably not the greatest. So to get where he's gotten in his career is definitely impressive. But I think the defensive staff will probably just put him wherever they want and just let him work. So I like it.
For sure. That would then give us the Vikings. I also have a thought for this pick, and I have a feeling you're going to agree if I can find him. Nope, that's not him. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, Vikings, if you listen to one of our podcasts, they have they have a lot of needs, especially on the defense. So we'll see where they go.
And the pick is in.
Deontay Banks, corner out of Maryland, freakishly athletic, one of the best testers there was at the combine. Ran a sub 4.4, I think. Also, just incredibly big for a corner, 6'1", even 6 foot is big for a corner, and can run that fast. Definitely a good press corner, but he's able to catch up on some deep balls and track down the catch, track down his man. He needs to improve a little bit on his ball skills. Only 1 interception is not great. I think he could get some better hands, but in terms of being a high ceiling type of corner and a high athletic profile, I think that's something the Vikings definitely covet to add some more athleticism, to add some more juice in their secondary. Because realistically, they only have Harrison Smith, who's soon going to be retired probably. Lewis Sign from Georgia last year, who got hurt. If he comes back healthy, that's great. But even at that, they have some big needs in the secondary. And I think Deontay Banks is one of those corners that could provide you with some instant impact, but also progress later in his career to be a very good corner.
I like it. That then gives us the Jaguars. There's a lot of directions they could go, Kyle. I don't know what you like the most here.
Yeah. Jaguars also are a team that's interesting. Needs along the offensive line, needs along their secondary. But I think I know where they're going to go.
All right, then the pick is in.
I have them taking Cam Smith, corner out of South Carolina. He also did very well at the combine. Big, physical, long. He can get grabby a little bit, but I think he is definitely worth this pick right here. And also the Jaguars just got rid of Griffin, their corner that they signed a couple years ago. They have a definite need at corner. I like what they've done along their front seven. It's improving. It's good, but their secondary needs addressed desperately. And again, this is a deep corner draft. I think if those guys weren't in front of Cam Smith, he probably would have gone earlier. I think he's that type of corner. Performed well against really good competition. I think it fits the need for the Jaguars, and I think he can start right away.
I like it. The Giants are on the board. I think their need is pretty obvious. So I'm going to go ahead and put him here. And the pick is in.
Zay Flowers, receiver out of Boston College. You're right. The need is so obvious. The Giants have needed a receiver for a while, an athletic one, a good character guy, a guy that can get open, who can do stuff after the catch. He's not the biggest guy, but listen, they had 6'5" Kenny Galladay, and he was trash. So it's not about how big you are. It's about if you can get open, if you can catch the ball, and if you can run after you catch the ball. And that's Zay Flowers' MO. Definitely quick, shifty, has deep speed, but also the ability to track the ball. I'd like to see him catch a little bit with his hands more. I think he's inconsistent at the catch point, but I mean, with that kind of offense that they want to run, it's a multiple offense. It's an offense that tries to confuse you, that puts people in motion, that has some athleticism to it with Saquon and Daniel Jones. Just to add another piece there for a guy that can do pretty much anything you want. Getting a guy like Zay at pick 26 makes a lot of sense.
For sure.
Hopefully he does better than Kadarius Toney did. So
that's for sure. I have a wild twist here for you for the Cowboys. And I'm sure you know the explanation why, because you see who I have. So the pick is in.
No.
But maybe I'll start out with this. Pollard isn't guaranteed. When Ezekiel Elliott is your best option at running back, you have no run game to support Dak at all. So you're going to rely on Dak throwing for 500 or more crazy some odd yards a game. And that's just not conducive for Dak Prescott.
I'd be so sad to see Bijan go to the Cowboys. If they get rid of Zeke, I do think it makes sense. I think it's a pick that the Cowboys often do. I don't think it's outside the realm of reality because if you look at what they've done, they've gotten guys like CeeDee Lamb before when they didn't necessarily need CeeDee Lamb. They've gotten guys like Micah Parsons when they necessarily didn't really need Micah Parsons. You know what I mean? They don't really always draft for need. They draft for something that's sexy.
They draft to screw everybody else.
Yeah. So obviously I would hate it tremendously, but I get it to a certain point. They will surround Dak with help. That's what they've been clamoring for, and he'll definitely help. So, yeah.
That then leaves us with the Bills. I have a feeling you know what you want to do, so I'm gonna let you do what you're gonna do here.
I do. Pick is in for the Bills. I have Miles Murphy here to the Bills.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think he definitely is worth going ahead of this pick. I think he has more upside than Cleveland Farrell did. However, his athleticism isn't to the par of these other defensive linemen. I think that's why he might drop a little bit. However, I think he's extremely productive. He has a rare size of blend and speed and power. The Bills like spending capital on their defensive line. I think they probably should go O-line here. They could probably go safety here if there was a safety worth taking. But ultimately, I think Miles Murphy or Lucas Van Ness could also be a good pick here. But I think they like a guy like Miles Murphy just a little bit more, who can provide pretty much everything for the Bills' defensive end group. And getting Von Miller back will be huge. So just adding to that defensive line room is something that needs to be done so they can beat Patrick Mahomes.
For sure. That puts the Bengals on the board.
Well, the Bengals are interesting here. I'm going to go something different.
Oh, I like that. All right, the pick is in.
I have the Bengals taking Quentin Johnson, and you might be thinking, are you an idiot? Maybe. But listen, Tyler Boyd might be on his way out. They cannot keep all three of these receivers. There have been rumors of a T. Higgins trade. obviously the Bengals don't want to trade T. Higgins, but it is the realm of possibility for them to do so because they can't pay T. Higgins like $100 million and also in a couple of years pay Jamar Chase $100 million. Like that's not going to work. That's not going to happen. It's not feasible. Oh, and also pay Joe Burrow $300 million. Not possible. So to get ahead of that a little bit, get a guy who can play on the outside, who's probably as tall as T. Higgins, who's a little bit faster than T. Higgins, maybe not as good of a route runner, but I think can provide some really good things, even at wide receiver number 3, even if you're not ready or comfortable with trading T. Higgins. So I think Quentin Johnson here to the Bengals just provides more juice, more firepower for the Bengals offense. Joe Mixon might be gone as well. I've heard that name being thrown out. So I guess you could replace Joe Mixon here, but I think this running back class is pretty darn deep where they could go later. But getting Quentin Johnson, who some have as wide receiver number 1, I think makes some sense if they get rid of one of their receivers.
For sure. That gives us the Saints here at pick 29.
So the Saints just went with Derek Carr. So that's an interesting little wrinkle to it. But I think the Saints do value defense here. And I think that's where they are going to go.
All right. Well, the pick is in.
I have Lucas Van Ness here going to the New Orleans Saints. Lucas Van Ness provides a lot of juice to that defensive line. Marcus Davenport is definitely going to get a contract from another team. Saints don't have the money. Cameron Jordan, this defensive end who's still productive but also very old, who's not going to last forever. They need to kind of recoup some defensive line help. And Van Ness has incredible upside. I think he could go earlier in the draft than this, but getting a guy at that size with that production as not even a starter at Iowa, he has such a high ceiling that I think the Saints, who I believe lost out on Trey Hendrickson, who went to the Bengals a couple of years ago, like that was a guy they picked. I think very similar players. So getting Lucas Van Ness here at this late first-round pick, I think, is a steal.
Yeah. We have the Eagles at 30.
Yes, and I think I know. Yes, there it is.
All right, the pick is in.
I have the Eagles taking O'Cyrus Torrence, guard out of Florida. Getting someone like Torrence here at guard. They really love getting O-line, D-line. The best guard in the draft for sure. We know they went with Kalijah Kancey with their first pick, so getting something interior, O-line and D-line is definitely the Eagles' way to do it. But reminds me a lot of Brandon Brooks when the Eagles had him. Definitely a mammoth, a guy you cannot get around. I think he can move a little bit for him being that big, but however, I think they're very comfortable with using all shapes and sizes along that D-line. So getting someone like Torrance who can just road grade everybody, and for someone who can have a pretty good success rate against Jalen Carter when he played him, like that points up. Like that's a good direction for him to go. So I think this is a solid pick and definitely an Eagles pick here in late round 1.
And last but not least is the Chiefs, and I have a good feeling that I know what they're going to do because I don't want to call it a desperation pick, but I do want to call it a pick that they really have to address pretty early. So the pick is in.
Tank Dell, I like it. Receiver out of Houston, super uber productive last year, 17 touchdowns, can really do it all for an offense. I don't know if he's Tyreek Hill, his speed, but in terms of like Patrick Mahomes getting him the ball at every different level, I think that's something that's very unique. And with how unique Andy Reid is in calling plays with his play design, Tank Dell is just a different weapon. You know, just another crazy electric weapon that they can do so much with the Chiefs. And I know the receivers right now aren't really like that. They have some solid guys, and ultimately they did win the Super Bowl, so maybe they didn't need Tyreek Hill. But anytime you can add just an explosive threat to the outside of your receiver room, and someone who can do just pretty much anything for the offense with Andy Reid is definitely a good pick and something that will be scary come next year.
I like it. That is going to round out round one. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Tell us how you thought this draft went. What would you have done differently? Did you think some guys went too early, some guys went too late, some guys didn't even get drafted at all? Let us know, and we will see you later.
Bye.